I'm rolling over everything.
All right, good evening, everyone. So glad to have you here. We have our regular Scott County Fiscal Court business meeting. Today is the 26th day of September, and would like to ask you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Hamilton, will you call the roll?
Mr. Hostetler.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Corman.
Present.
Mr. Ellison.
Here.
Mr. Pratt. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Culbertson.
Here.
Judge Covington.
Present. And maybe we can confirm, because Mr. Pratt, I just want to share with everybody, on Tuesday, Mr. Pratt was not at our work session, and I intended to share where he was that night. But Mr. Pratt, with his position, I think it's AMR, they provide emergency medical team manpower, and his company asked him to deploy to Georgia to essentially help stage EMS crews in Georgia in anticipation of the hurricane. So he's in Georgia, and we hope he can stay safe along with everyone else that's down there in harm's way. And we hope that hurricane does not grow to the strength that they're saying it might, and wish nothing but the best for those folks down there. So I wanted to share that where Ryan was, and we'll try to text with him here in a second to see if he's having trouble getting on, because he had said he was going to try to get on. Also want to mention and ask you all, Dave Willis, a constable, passed away this week. Very well-respected community member, and served as constable, and did a lot of things in our community. I'd like to ask you all to join me in a moment of silence for Dave. Thank you very much. With that said, we will get started with our agenda. Item number 4, the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any comments or questions related to those minutes as presented?
Motion. Second.
Motion, Kelly Corman, second from Mr. Hostetler. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Transfers. Any questions as presented? Would there be a motion to accept?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Hostetler, second from Mr. Jones. All those, any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Bills and hand checks as presented. Capital Fund from the General Fund, $677,000. Any comments or questions related to that? Would there be a motion to accept?
Motion for approval.
Second, Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to Manufacturing Month. Jack Connor is here.
Cheering squad. I've actually heard that. I've got like 9 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. That's
Jack, I don't know if he's cheering you or heckling you.
I'm going to take a cheer.
All right.
Jack Connor, thank you, Judge. Thank you, court members. This is the second appearance I've made before you. I did this last year in September for Manufacturers Month, which is in October. We started that last year. We're going to do it again this year in October. This is kind of a pattern that's been set throughout the state of Kentucky. In particular, the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers also sponsors Manufacturers Month. So very simply, our mission is just to highlight and demonstrate manufacturing in our community. You have some billboard examples or posters that are at your desk. What we'll be doing is a number of things. The billboards we did last year, we did it all through the month of October. We have 3 of them. The first one is Thank a Manufacturer. The second one talks about the average wages for manufacturers on an annual basis, the $75,000 figure. And then a very important figure that we like to use and have used, quite frankly, just to state the importance of that sector. 58% of every employee in this community is a manufacturer. It's a manufacturer, that's logistics, et cetera. So that means that we are a very, very strong part of our community. Another thing that we're going to be doing, excuse me, is this year we're going to be doing tours with high school students. This time we're going to visit 8 manufacturers. We're going to involve over 210 students in doing so. So we want to, again, engage the youngsters, the young adults in manufacturing and show them that it's not dark, dangerous, and dirty, but it's a good occupation. So that's another thing that we're going to be doing. And then again, something that we'll do through the chamber, we'll do some social media posts, and those will be specifically of manufacturing employees, their little story about what it's like to work at a manufacturer. So we have a proclamation that we have prepared. This is a joint proclamation between the city and the fiscal court, and that's all I can say. I will say.
All right, here's the joint proclamation. Manufacturing Month, October 2024. Whereas manufacturing is a dynamic and robust industry crucial to the health and strength of Georgetown, Scott County, Kentucky's diverse economy. And whereas manufacturing-related workers generated over $1.9 billion in gross wages from Georgetown, Scott County jobs in 2023, the largest total payroll among private sector industries. And whereas Georgetown and Scott County manufacturing and related employees account for over 58% of all employment in Scott County, and whereas manufacturers in Georgetown and Scott County pay an average weekly wage of $1,530, and whereas Georgetown and Scott County manufacturing sector continues to diversify and expand, which significantly contributes to the broadening of the economy and offering unlimited potential for growth, and whereas Georgetown and Scott County's high standard of living and economic vitality is due to this strong manufacturing foundation. Now therefore let it be known that we, Bernie Jenkins, Mayor of the City of Georgetown, and Joe Pat Covington, Scott County Judge Executive, do hereby recognize October 2024 as Georgetown Scott County Manufacturing Month, dated this 23rd day of September 2024.
Thank you very much, Cam. And Jack, thank you for all you do. And I think the court recognizes, how important manufacturing is to our community and our region. We're blessed to have the opportunities that we have here. And, we're working now on a regional business park project, and I feel like that's very important as we continue to grow to make every effort to have available land that is allows us to compete for adding jobs in the future. And I think it's important, and this kind of dovetails with Manufacturing Month.
Yes, sir.
So
thank you.
Would love any comments from anyone on the court.
I'll say
All right.
to that community.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Proclamation, employee retirement. Ms. Jennifer Connolly is with us. And I would like to ask Cam to read this proclamation and then make a few comments, and then we'll go from there.
All right, proclamation, Scott County, Kentucky, honoring Jennifer Conley for a dedicated career of service to Georgetown, Scott County Emergency Medical Services. Whereas Ms. Conley is retiring on September 30th, 2024, after serving her entire career with the Georgetown, Scott County Emergency Medical Services, and whereas Ms. Conley dedicated herself to her service, frequently picking up overtime shifts so a platoon would not be short-staffed. That's right. And whereas Ms. Conley went above and beyond in the areas of patient care and advocacy, always ensuring patients were taken care of and had what they needed. And whereas Ms. Conley loves the people she works with, instilling a family culture and togetherness. And whereas Ms. Conley earned numerous awards throughout her career, including 2014 Crew of the Year, 2016 and 2022 EMT of the Year, and 2020 Preceptor of the Year. Now therefore let it be known that the Scott County Fiscal Court and Judge Executive Joe Pat Covington hereby honor and praise Jennifer Conley for her long career of distinguished and dedicated service to the Georgetown Scott County Emergency Medical Services.
Let's all sit down and take a picture with it. Jennifer, on behalf of the court, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Commitment and your service. Chris, you got to come up here. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Liz? Yeah. Thank you all. Our next guest that we have with us is from Scott County Schools, is Liz Yandel. And Liz, thank you for being with us. And we're grateful for you taking the time to share. And I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you all taking the time to invite me to speak. As Billy Parker says, Scott County is the best place to live and learn for everyone, and I completely agree with this on situations like what I'm getting to speak to today. Due to this court, we have been able to increase our mental health supports at both our high school and middle school levels. And statistics show that 60% of our students, high school students with mental health deficits, don't graduate. So we are helping and starting interventions early to make sure that that's not our story. We don't want that to be our student's story. 1 in 5 children have diagnosable mental health problems, but nearly 2/3 of them do not get the services they need. So we are trying to, again, not make that our story. Over 268 students were referred last year to outside mental health services. We have an ignition partial hospitalization program on campus, and we've also implemented a substance usage disorder through Mountain Comp Care just due to the issues that we're facing. We still have issues with finding services for our uninsured populations, but through our partnership with Scott County Fiscal Court and you providing us with 2 social workers for Scott County Schools, you've allowed us to continue services when there is a emergency and a counselor is tied to trying to get hospitalization for a student, or during assessment periods when often counselors are tied up with handling the assessment process, or during 504 meetings. Through these 2 positions, you've allowed these services to continue. Beyond just the mental health students that we have, we also have a high number of homeless students in Scott County and migrant students and kids that are in and out of foster care. The positions that you all have provided to Scott County has helped these students as well. You all have allowed group support through Y-Try training. There's points of contact for our students that have the most concerns. They run risk assessments to make sure that needs are being met. They run small groups and one-on-one sessions. But beyond that, they also help connect these students with mental health referrals outside of the building that could help them. They help with hospital transportation, and they also helped connect with different resources in our community, such as food, clothing, and work readiness supplies. Originally, we placed these 2 social workers at both of our high schools, Great Crossing and Scott County High School. As Joe Pat knows, Scott County High School is a very well-oiled machine with a team that's worked together for a long time. So when they heard that the middle school was suffering, they offered their social worker to the middle school level schools. The middle schools graciously accepted and said, we would much appreciate some additional help in the mental health area. So one of your social workers went to the middle school support. Georgetown Middle School gets that social worker on Thursdays and Fridays. Royal Spring gets a social worker on Tuesdays, and Scott County Middle School gets that social worker on Mondays and Wednesdays. Again, it's helping to connect and support our middle school students with services and with resources that they need to be successful at school. We're truly working together as a community to meet the needs, the mental health needs of our students. Even us at Scott County Schools have worked to streamline the process for outside mental health services to come in. We're making sure that that process is easier and quicker so that we have as many services as are needed within the classrooms. Then also we have the Kentucky Center for Grieving Children and Families. They got a grant through the New York Foundation and the Kentucky Association of Healthcare Plans that fully funded grief groups at 8 schools for 2 years. And then finally, through you all allowed us those 2 social worker positions last year and again this year. And it is truly helping our students, especially our students who are most vulnerable, who are uninsured, sometimes bilingual, and just don't have the services available to them. But through you all, we have been able to provide those mental health services. So we just wanted to take the time to come and thank you for what you've done for our kids. It's really making a difference, and we just appreciate your partnership. And just as a little final note, tomorrow we are having a community partner breakfast, and we wanted you all to know that you're more than welcome to attend. It's tomorrow morning from 7 to 9, and we're just very thankful for everything you've done for our county. So thank you.
Thank you for your information. Are there any questions from the court members or comments?
I would just add, is Phoenix involved in this as well?
That's a great question. So Phoenix has their own social worker, and they had a social worker before this, so that's why they're kind of already set up with their own social worker. But great question. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
But if they didn't have the funds for that, it just, you know how resources are so valuable, and meeting needs at different places, and having these helps to have the one at Phoenix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you again. That's really, like I said, it's been a big help to our middle school and our high schools. So
Rick?
Was this part of the opioid settlement
Yes.
funds? Yeah,
Yes.
which made that available?
Yes.
Awesome.
And, the substance abuse, mental health is all under one umbrella, and it goes so hand in hand, it seems like, from my
absolutely.
experience.
Absolutely.
So,
All right.
any other questions or comments? Liz, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all
All right.
again.
All right. That will lead us to ordinance 2408, second reading, zone change. We have the ordinance, the summary. I would ask to read that first, and then if there's any comments or questions, we can certainly entertain those.
All right, Scott County Fiscal Court Ordinance Number 24-08, an ordinance related to changing the zone for 0.95 acres, more or less, owned by Country Boy Holdings LLC, said property situated at 6325 Cincinnati Pike in Scott County, Kentucky, from B2 Highway Commercial to B5 General Commercial Park. Whereas the application of Country Boy Brewing having been filed with the Georgetown Scott County Planning Commission on June 28, 2024, requesting a zoning classification change from B2 Highway Commercial to B5 General Commercial Park for 0.95 acres, more or less, situated at 6325 Cincinnati Pike in Scott County, Kentucky. And whereas the matter having been heard publicly by the Planning Commission on August 8, 2024, pursuant to notice according to law and with a quorum of the Commission present and voting. And whereas after taking testimony on the application and fully considering same, the Planning Commission voted unanimously 6-0 to recommend approval of the rezoning request. And whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court, after fully considering the application, record, and recommendation of the Planning Commission, hereby accepts the Planning Commission's recommendation and grants the requested zoning classification change for the subject property from B2 Highway Commercial to B5 General Commercial Park. Now therefore be it ordained by the Scott County Fiscal Court, Section 1, that the Georgetown Scott County zoning ordinance be amended to show a change in the zoning classification for 0.95 acres, more or less, situated at 6325 Cincinnati Pike in Scott County, Kentucky, as described in the application for the property of Country Boy Holdings, LLC, from B2 Highway Commercial to B5 General Commercial Park, all in accordance with the application for same, said property being more particularly described in Deed Book 450, page 767 in the Scott County Clerk's Office, Scott County, Kentucky. Section 2, that the Georgetown Scott County Planning Commission is hereby directed to show the zoning classification change on the official zone map and to refer to the number of this ordinance. First reading was approved September 13th, 2024. Second reading today, September 26th, 2024.
Any questions or comments?
Motion.
I just want to clarify that it's not by summary, it's in full.
Yeah, it's a full, but it's just a one-pager.
Yes. Okay. So we have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, hold up. Ryan Pratt is with us, and I want Ryan, just for the record. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I thought it was important to get him on the record for this vote. So we have a motion, we have a second. And no other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Judge, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, sir.
Because I don't know if Elise and Rhett are going to leave. The denial of the zone change in Great Crossings, has that been appealed to the fiscal court?
So, waiting on, have you forwarded the official minutes of the transfer, or is that
Yeah.
going to happen after?
You've already sent it.
Everything should already been sent, Judge.
Okay, so
and-
that one's already been sent.
Yeah.
So I communicated with the applicant this week, and copied Cam in on email with Stacy, and notified that I would share her desire to have an appeal heard. The court needs to decide whether you want to open up a new public hearing or use the record from the Planning Commission and use that as what you want to guide your decision by. So
So the answer is yes, they do want to formally
they
appeal.
want to appeal,
Okay.
and I have communicated with her this
Okay.
week. I spoke with her on the phone. Cam, you want to comment about
No,
that?
sorry, I was just agreeing with you. She called my office as well, so I spoke to
Okay.
her, and then I think after that, she talked to Joe Pass.
So, in our standard practice has been, we kind of review the record, we don't introduce any new evidence, and we've given them each side a couple, 10 minutes or something to speak, I think.
So
If
my,
you want to.
Yeah,
That's what we've done, at least on the Bierman, and then maybe the Oxford one. Those are the only two I've been here for, but, we talked to Charlie Perkins this week about another matter, but, he said we don't have to have another hearing. There's already been a hearing on
Yeah.
the record, so if you want, you can just review that one. It's kind of up to you all.
Yeah.
and
been
the
a
difference was if you use that record, then you're not going to take any additional comment.
Yeah.
You're going to review that record. That's your source. If you all want to have another hearing, then we publicize a hearing. We allow for the applicant to give additional testimony, and then we allow opposition to give any testimony as well. So,
I mean, our practice has been before you, and since you've been here, is to
So-
just kind of review the record, and then we make a decision, not to open up a full-blown hearing.
Okay.
But that's my thought.
so we'll make sure that we share that, and then try to get it.
What's the timeline?
I was going from memory. I feel like it was November 6th.
Is our deadline?
Yeah, you have to do something within 90 days of
90
the final
days, yeah.
action of the planning
I have it
commission.
penciled in for October 26th if the court
Yeah.
chooses to.
So,
I can tell you exactly.
so if you all would like to use the previous record, and then
October 24th.
October 24th, we would have the consideration of it. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I just want
That
to.
date was only if we were doing a public hearing, because I would need to get the notice in the paper prior. If you're
Yeah.
not, then you could do it sooner.
What does it do if we just review the current public hearing?
So-
Is there just a vote?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
you
it's-
can either not take any action, and what the planning commission did remains, or you can affirmatively vote if you want to uphold what they did, or if you want to overturn what they did, you have to do that after, quote, a public hearing. There's already been it, so you really only have to review the hearing if the court wants to overturn what they did.
And that has to be 6 votes in favor to overturn and
Yeah,
and 2 that can be in opposition. I mean, that's just, I think that's the best case scenario. And you also have to provide evidence of reasons why you have to overturn
Yeah, it
the
has to
zone
be-
change.
That's right,
Specific to
Chad.
3 different.
Yeah.
So we'll pencil in October 24th as the day that we'll consider that topic, and I'll let the applicant, or I'll ask Stacy to email the applicant,
Okay.
notifying her that we will now. I think it's, what I'm hearing is the desire of the court is just to take the record from the planning commission and then consider it. So that's what we'll do. All right.
Thank you,
all.
Judge.
Thank you all.
Next one is ordinance 2409, second reading, short-term rentals. Just made that one change, and I'll ask Cam to read.
Okay. Scott County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2409, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2208 regarding short-term rentals within Scott County. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court desires to amend ordinance 2208 regarding short-term rentals in order to enact further regulations that discourage improper conduct and promote the safety and well-being of the community. Now therefore be it ordained by the Scott County Fiscal Court. Section 1, ordinance 2208, section 1, part 7, duties of host is amended as follows. 7, duties of host. It shall be the duty of a host under this article to ensure that B, short-term rental occupancy is limited to 2 adults per bedroom plus no more than 2 additional adults. Section 2, all ordinances or parts of this ordinance in conflict with it, or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 3, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon passage and publication. Publicly introduced and read for the first time September 13th, 2024. Publicly read the second time September 26th, 2024.
Questions or comments?
I have a question. I don't have to look. 2 adults per bedroom and then 2
Yeah.
additional children or 2 different?
2 additional adults.
Okay.
I think at one point I had written occupants and we changed it to adults.
It was changed prior to first reading.
Okay. In my head, I was thinking we had 2 additional children, but, okay.
Like
Any,
that's-
uh,
that's
Any
an
amount of
extra
children.
children,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Since I have some Airbnbs, I'll recuse myself from.
okay. So with that said, any questions or comments additional, and would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Hostetler,
Second.
second from Mr. Corman. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That brings us up to our EMS ambulance bid results. And Chris, you have some information you'd like to share. We shared by, Stacy shared by email, just a narrative about this. And I think one of the big things is making sure that the box is an aluminum-based product. And I'll let you take it from here.
Right. Good evening, Judge Magistrates. I think Corey had emailed out some justification as why we went with the more expensive unit, and primarily that's a safety issue. Some of the boxes are made out of plywood, and we've had those in the past and hadn't been involved in accidents, and that just splinters and is not safe at all. So we felt like the best bet was to go with the full aluminum box, which is a little bit more expensive than what we had budgeted, but we can absorb that. I don't think it'll be any other money coming from the court. We can take that from other line items to cover that. It's pretty negligible.
So just to clarify, the bid from,
We need to announce the 2 bids, actually. One bidder had 2 bids, so really there's 3.
so Atlantic,
You can read them.
Atlantic bid $686,400 for a total for two apparatus. And then Pen Care was $737,570. for 2 apparatus. And then, is it Demir?
It's still Penn Care.
It's still
Yeah.
Penn Care?
Still-
Care
yes.
fits both of these.
Okay.
Medics,
So,
yeah.
so, but you're choosing the Demirs at your recommendations, the Demirs at 737, 570
Yes.
for 2, and then the Medics is 668, 838, correct?
Correct.
And Stacy and Chris, I know I looked at this today earlier, but I believe we put $360,000 into into our budget to cover. You shared, let's pay for half of 2,
Right.
and there's a build out of 24 months.
18 to
The plan
24,
was to
yeah.
pay for one this budget and one next budget.
I think it's, and that's what I had in my mind, because if you pay for half of 2, it's the same thing as paying for one in this budget.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's 6 to 1, half dozen other, because the build out.
You just gotta lock it down, right?
Yeah, I think Chris was trying to,
We hope, yes. We hope.
but we would be allocating, we would authorize the order of 2, and we'd be allocating $360,000 out of this year's budget towards those. However you all want to proceed. What questions do you all have? Now, this is on a Dodge chassis,
Dodge chassis, yes.
and the issue there, because we've talked about chassis, and Chevy was just like so far out,
Yeah.
you couldn't even.
Right, yeah. It's at least another 12 months to wait. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. But that's what we would have preferred, so we just kind of trying to move away from the Ford. So we've talked to a couple agencies that use the Dodge and have good things to say about it, so.
Well, we don't have any right now.
No. No, we have, the one new is on a Chevy chassis. The other ones are Fords.
And that new Chevy one is performing well.
Absolutely, yeah.
That would be your preference, it's just
Right.
over time.
Yeah.
So, and I may have misunderstood, are we recommending the higher bid?
We're recommending the 737 570 from Demirs.
Correct.
Is that a relationship issue or just a difference in product? Because that
Aluminum box.
Yeah.
It's all aluminum box. Separate HVAC system.
I think it's 25-year warranty or something.
Yeah, this is a 25-year warranty.
okay, so it wasn't apples to apples on the 2 bids. That's,
Yeah, right, yeah. Correct, yes.
yeah, got it.
But tell me if I'm right. The Atlantic, that box was plywood.
Mhm.
So in a motion, it would be good to lock down, like, are we
Or to-
approving,
or to approve the
approve the
bidder.
bidder? And
The
Demirs. Demirs.
That's the make, the bidder is Penn Care.
Penn Cares.
PENN, like Penn State,
Yeah, yeah.
but for the Demirs model
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the
bid.
Very model.
All right.
For 737, 570, is that right?
Yeah.
And then, do we need to clarify, we allocated in the budget, are we authorizing,
Well, we need a second on my motion first, right?
One other question. So you said that Penn Cares made both the Demirs and the Medics?
Yes.
So what's the difference between those
It's
two?
just a better model, built more sturdy. As Judge mentioned, it's got a separate HVAC system, which is a pretty common problem with ambulances. But this is all a separate unit that will run independent of drawing from the motor.
For the box? Yeah.
Yeah.
so we've got a motion. Did we have a second?
Yeah. Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So we'll notify them that we've accepted their bid,
Okay.
and I don't think it matters if we pay them one,
Right.
allocate it this year, and then
Sure.
move forward with the allocation in the budget next year. But with these two, and then where will that put us, Chris?
We should be good, right? We'll have yes.
That's what I wanted to hear.
10, yeah. We'll have 10 new. So currently we have 10, but we have a 2007 and a 2012 on there that.
I saw the 2007 running down the road today just as hard as it could go.
Right.
We'll get these two eventually.
Yes.
Probably surplus two is what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're actually going to give one to our training department because the new training division has the bay door where they can actually pull the truck inside and use it for scenarios. And then we'll surplus the other.
When the new EMS station is completed and operable, you're going to have 2 trucks there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have one in Sadieville.
Correct.
You'll have one in Stamping Ground. You'll have one on Jacobs Lane.
Correct.
And one on Broadway. And those will run 24/7. And then you'll have you want to flesh that out a little bit?
Yeah, so we'll have 6 trucks, and which is what our minimum now is 5, but 6 is a fully staffed day. The problem with as the current logistics is we run 4 out of Broadway, and we only have 3 bays, so you're just playing musical trucks.
Will there be 2 out of Broadway still? Just one.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll have 2 downtown and 2 out at Lexus, but the 2 downtown will be at separate locations. Yeah. One up at Jacobs and one at Broadway.
But the Jacobs will feed off at South. It'll really
oh yeah.
But you all do so many transfers.
A lot of transfers.
And that's where those additional ambulances will come in, and then you have to have backups and you have to have all that other. So
yeah, I
think everybody sees the plan there. So
yeah, and even with the 2 on Lexus, we'll eat up so much of the territory now.
Somebody can we mute him? But.
I was just going to mention the interstate because coming now from Sadieville, you have to come all the way south to the 129 to get back up the northbound lanes of the interstate, and where we'll be right there on the 127. It's going to be many minutes difference.
So it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Move down to EMS new hire.
Did we vote? Did we?
Yeah, we voted.
Yeah, we voted.
Okay. So much more discussion after the vote.
Good evening. Yes, on behalf of Chris Running, I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of John Nunn as an EMT. He'll start at $14.53 an hour, and we confirmed that his start date will be October the 12th.
Questions?
How about staffing?
Well, we're prepared for that question. With Connolly's retirement, there will be 3 vacancies. So even after we hire this person, and we have the job posted right now. We hope that by the next meeting on October the 11th, we'll be in a position to recommend people to fill those 3 positions.
Motion.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We have a couple that are advanced EMTs. We have had a couple come to us from other agencies and things. So we're optimistic about because right now the positive thing is that we have filled most of our paramedic positions. Yeah. And so our ratio of paramedics to EMTs is in a good spot. So we're what it does is it gives us the opportunity to hire EMTs, and there's a lot more applicants for EMT typically than there is for paramedic.
We had a motion from Rick. Would there be a second? Second from Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay.
Animal control new hire.
Yes, very pleased to recommend 3 individuals in that department. Emily LaFontaine as a animal control officer. She will be able to start with us on October the 7th at $19.39 an hour. Denise Bayer, she has to get a little more notice, so she can't start with us till October 28th. She'll start at $18.87 an hour. I think in the note I said $18.89, so it's a typo on my part. And then Vicki Dickerson is going to start with us on a part-time basis. She'll start with us on October the 9th at $18.50 an hour.
Vicki was there at one time, correct?
Yes, she's here previously. So that's why we were bring her back. She's got some experience in the department, and she's going to assist with adoption efforts. So I present those 3 recommendations to you, and that puts them at full staffing.
You said there was a typo, was it on my list?
It's, yeah, I think it lists 1889. I think I'm like 99% certain or 100% certain it's 1887, so.
Any questions? Would there be motion from Kelly?
Second.
Second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
That leads us to fire department promotional list. Y'all have done a lot of work on this. Got John and Rebel with us today, chief and battalion chief. Y'all have been very involved in this, and a lot of work went into it. I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Okay. Yes, absolutely that's the case. I mean, the recruitment and examination process began in May. It wrapped up last week with the interview process. I can't extend my thanks enough to the department, to the leadership team there for the time and effort they put into this, to selection of third party to assist with the written exam and with the practical performance assessment that's conducted and completed by all the individuals. It's just a top-notch examination process from beginning to end, if you ask me, so very pleased with that. So what I'm going to do is read you the names of the individuals for both the captain and the lieutenant process. I'm going to read these to you in rank order. For captain, we had Jeremy Barnett, Michael Wilson, Zach Anderson, and Doug Walrath, so 4 individuals for the captain position. And then we had 8 individuals on the list for lieutenant, and that is Parker Malloy, Mark Bennett, Tyler Willems, Elliot Baldridge, James Grimes, Ethan Hurd, James Andre, and Jacob Collins. And I also want to say, I participated in the interview process. I've known most of these individuals, if not all of them, pretty well over the last few years that I've been here. And I just want to say that we are just so lucky and fortunate to have such qualified people working in the service. So, I wish there was a way that we could promote all these individuals immediately, but there's only so many positions open. And speaking of open positions, the one position we do have open right now is a lieutenant position, and the recommendation is to move Parker Malloy into that vacant lieutenant position. His appointment will be effective October the 12th, and his new rate of pay will be $19.04 per hour. So I present to you the recommendation of the approval of that hiring list. That'll be in effect for 2 years. So those 12 names, and then the appointment of Parker Malloy as the promotion to the lieutenant position.
Rick?
Did you say they're listed in the order that you'll
Yes.
take them?
Yes. Well, there's a rule, they have a rule of 3 in the department, but this is the order in which how they scored it on the assessments.
We'll make 2 motions. Let's approve the list as presented. Would there be a motion to do that? Rick Hostetler.
Second.
Second from Chad Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then the next, would there be someone that would entertain a motion to approve the promotion to lieutenant of Parker Malloy? Motion from Dwayne, second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments?
1904 an hour, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, 1904.
Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Wallace. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all for your work.
Thank you.
Very much. Next brings J.R. Brandenburg to the podium. And I'd like to ask Mary to put up the slide from KYTC about the road funding. It's yellow, and there we go. So this summer we heard about this along with a bridge program, and this particular discretionary funding is now kind of moved over to where projects will be evaluated and sent to the legislature, and they will determine which projects to fund during the 2025 session. And this is, it's called County Priority Projects Program, and it's kind of taking over that discretionary application that's been available in the past. But JR's filled out the Form TC 2041 and is going to submit it to the municipal aid website. And Stacy sent an email that JR had done an evaluation. And JR, you want to take it from here?
Yes, I'd like to seek the court's approval to apply for $725,000 for a couple of roads, safety issues, repaving. Fennel Pike is one of them. Cane Run Road is the other one. 2007 on Fennel Pike was the last time it was repaved, and 2008 on Cane Run. So
they score out.
Yes,
as a priority.
So 2007 Fennel, and what was Cane Run?
So they've had a little wear on them. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't last as long as it used to.
No.
Questions or comments?
Not at all.
Motion from Mr. Jones. Second from Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So there's another slide about the bridge program, and I attended a very informative 4-hour webinar that I was required to do so before we could apply for this. And JR, you were working with Rob Dowler.
HMB.
HMB. Yes. This is a little bit more detailed. We need a little bit more data and information, but Rob's putting together, along with JR, an application. There is no time deadline on this, and we'll work through that, and we're planning on making an application on this as well, but we'll bring more information back to you all. The bridge is on Mount Horeb.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted y'all to be aware of
That's the only one.
I think we need to concentrate on that. JR, I think it's the one that doesn't meet standard, right?
Absolutely. The state inspectors has lowered the weight limit on it for the last several years, and they do an inspection every 2-3 years, and we need to give it some attention. So
If you go out Lemons Mill and take a left on Mount, huh? No, I think Chip lives going towards Lexington. This way is the east.
Yeah. Go across Carrick and turn on Mount Horeb just for the Fayette County line. Goes over Goose Creek. Yes.
So the bridge that's closed up in northern Scott County, I think is there 2 of them? I know one's the railroad.
Well, that's the
both
Hinton.
railroad. Yeah.
And then the other one is
Both involved with the railroad.
Yeah.
one's Hinton.
Yeah.
One's Hinton and other's Fields Lane.
The Fields is the older one.
Yeah.
But
And what they tell us, Fields Lane won't be replaced.
Okay.
Right?
that's what I've understood.
Yeah.
But
And
what
the
I
other
understand from Hinton is like it's got moved up in the funding by
26.
NM, and they're doing the design or working on the design.
And the railroad's involved in it, so you know how complicated it is to deal
Yeah.
with the railroad.
If someone says, hey, you all got a bridge is closed down, but you're trying to apply for funding someplace else, how do you justify that? But I understand the complications with the railroad, and basically the state inspectors are saying this is the direction we want to go. I mean, that's the linchpin.
And we talked, Judge and myself talked to District 7 about this, and it's already in the plans. Judge did get it moved up to 2026 to start,
We
rather than
campaigned to get that.
2029.
But from my understanding, like the Fields is not going to be.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was told from the very beginning about the Fields Lane.
So that's why Mount Horeb.
That Fields Lane's been closed for a while now, hasn't it? 4 or 5 years.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
So appreciate that, JR, very much.
Thank you.
But we wanted y'all to know that we're going to meet that October 15th deadline for the other funding, and hopefully we can campaign with our House and State Senate to help us get some of that in the budget. I'd like to ask you to consider ratifying, as I shared in the email last week. The time was sensitive based on getting the bid out and beating the drywall and not holding up the project at the sheriff's office, clerk's annex. So I would like you to ratify the advertisement of the bid for the security cameras and the access control at the sheriff's office project. So would there be a motion to ratify and approve that?
I'll make that, but before, so is there a cost estimate or?
I can share, we've gotten ballpark budgetary estimates.
I figure from the design team.
From the design team, and I can
Gotcha.
share that with you.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second from Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 10-4 work session, that's next Friday. I will be out of town. I believe Cam is out of town. I believe David will be returning from a trip, and I also know that Mr. Jones is going to be out of town. So, and you'll be out of town.
We're all going to say.
And Stacy. So
I'll be here.
We're going to do a special call meeting.
Yeah. So I just would like to officially cancel that work session. I don't think we need a motion. We're just going to cancel it. And then the next item is number 19, reschedule 11/28. That's the Thanksgiving meeting. And Stacy, I think we talked about Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
I have dates.
November 26th at 6 would be the Thanksgiving week movement.
This is just following pattern from last year.
Yes. And then the Christmas week.
Are you going to keep it at night?
The 6 p.m., yes.
Okay.
And then the Christmas week, instead of having a meeting on 12/26, we would have a meeting on 12/27 at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
That's the same pattern as we did last year.
Yeah, that's fine.
We ought to probably have a motion to do that.
We do need one.
Yeah.
We have
Yes.
We have to.
So motion from Mr. Jones, second from Mr. Ellison. Any other questions or comments?
What did you say the December change was?
No, 12, yeah, it'll go to 12/27 at 9 a.m.
Who was sent out?
Mr. Ellison. With that said, we have a motion, we say, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, in new business, I'd like to ask Mary to show, there was one other slide right here. And I don't know if Jared was going to zoom in, and maybe he... All right. Jared, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I just wanted to, since I know you were going to cancel the workshop, I wanted to talk about, first things first, October 19th is the TMFK Super Recycling Day. And as always, I want to thank you all for sponsoring the event. I know we put forward $10,000, the city of Georgetown puts forward $10,000, and Toyota spends a whole lot more than that. So just always thank the Toyota officials out there. We take in more and more items. I think last year we had close to 700 cars. So each year it grows more and more. So I just want to thank Toyota and you all for supporting that project. And then October 24th, 25th, and 26th is our waste tire collection event in Scott County. And 3 years ago, we collected over 25,000 tires. So I've always been blown away. This will be my third event, and each year it seems like it's the tires don't go away. So just help me spread the word on that. And if those dates don't work for people in Scott County, tell them to call our office. And we have surrounding counties that have their events. And if you're a Kentucky resident, you'll be eligible to go to their programs also. So that's all I got. Just wanted to say thank you for supporting these programs. And it's just to ensure that we dispose of things properly in Scott County. Thank you.
Any questions for Jared? One of the most one of the most frequent phone calls that we get is for the voucher program. And Jared navigates that, and the voucher program, I think, will only continue to grow. And then the recycling out there at Rumpke, their partnership on that, I think, we don't expend general fund dollars anymore to do recycling, and I think that's a very positive thing. So, and then our partnership there with Toyota on super recycling is huge, and then keeping those tires out of the creek and out of the ditch.
Yeah, Judge, I can say that the Godfather of his crew, they constantly get tires, and then, like, thank Jail Royals, he's going to help band the event for us, so I'd like to thank both of those, the Godfather and Darren, for sure.
Absolutely. Any questions or comments from anyone else? Next, and Rick, I might ask you to help me on this next one because I think you've been involved in some of the conversations. It's a simple, I shared this via email today. There's been discussion between the net device, Jeff Lott. He's met with Jailer Broyles. They still haven't finalized the procedures and how things will be done, but they're going to work on hopefully doing the net device treatment at our Sky Canyon Detention Center. And the amendment to the agreement simply adds that as an option at the facility. And I shared that agreement with you all via email and wanted, I felt like, I usually don't ask you to approve something, but this is a very, I think, very constructive. It's going to be able to get help to people when they might most need the help. And Rick, you want to comment?
I did sit in on a meeting with the jailer and several other folks, some of his staff and the medical agency, forget their name, that works at the
Southern Health Partners.
Yes, Southern Health Partners had a couple of folks there. And so what they want us to do tonight is really from the net recovery folks. They just want to get it where, I think our original agreement, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cam, says that they're going to be treating at Isaiah House only. This allows them to treat also at our jail.
Yeah, I think it yes, it expands the definition of a facility to include the jail.
Right. And then Darren is still working, I don't know where he's at in that process, but I know he's still working with Southern Health Partners and mostly internally, I understand, to set the protocols. And I'm pretty sure he was intending to bring that to Cam first and then to us. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think that's what he's got in mind over the next few weeks.
Okay. And Southern Health Partners,
that's the nurse provider.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Darren and I have talked a couple times this week, and I know he's on board with all this, and
Yeah, and he said when he got all his protocols to actually do the treatment, he's gonna run it through Cam to us. That's what I understood.
Okay.
And he's trying to get that done, at least to be up and going if he can by November, and maybe a little earlier if they can get all that set in place. So, but this one tonight is just a matter of allowing them to treat at our facility via our contract.
Yep.
So if you need a motion, I'll make that
Make a
motion.
motion to approve the amendment to the agreement. Chad Wallace with a second. I had the visual on Chad. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then I just wanted to thank you all for your attendance at the special call workshop on Tuesday. I thought it was informative, and I'll be happy to try to get any questions answered or comments related to that interlocal. And we need to move forward here before the middle of October with consideration of that interlocal agreement. And whatever the pleasure of the court is, I'll move forward with. But with timelines, with getting funded by KEDFA, and then getting the zoning consideration before the process of all the transaction with the option, time is a factor, and it's my opinion that we should consider it and move forward with what, the pleasure of the court is, before the middle of October.
And our next meeting's October 11th.
Next meeting's October 11th.
I mean, is there any reason why we can't entertain it at that time?
That's why I wanted to publicly discuss that during new business here, and get your feedback on when you would like to consider it.
Well, that'll be a 9 a.m. meeting.
Yes, sir.
I'm just thinking about making it an opportunity for most of the public to come, because I'm sure that we want them here, and so I don't know whether it's good to.
The next one will be the 24th,
Yeah.
October 24th.
Mm-hmm.
It'd probably, Stacy, probably be a resolution.
It's a resolution.
To approve the agreement.
Or not. But the week of October 11th, there is a Monday night Board of Adjustments meeting that's in this room, and then there is a Thursday night Planning Commission meeting that will be in this room. So, if you want to consider it in the evening, you'd have to have a special called meeting.
Keep in mind, we might have that hearing also.
What hearing?
Great Crossing property.
I'd prefer to push that to October 24th.
That's what I'm saying, you would have that, you said if you want to move it to a night meeting, a regional.
Well, you don't want to push it that far.
I don't want, for time purposes,
special
we need to do this before the middle of, towards the middle of October.
I didn't want to double those up.
No.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. So.
Wow, being on the October 11th meeting, there've been multiple public meetings. People tell us what their thoughts were.
I think the last one, only a few people showed up. And it was at night.
Rick, I mean,
I just want to throw that out there. It's in front of the court, yeah.
My pleasure would be just to have it on October 11th, but
okay.
That gives people notification, in advance that we'll be discussing this issue.
Yeah. Well, we'll make sure that if we are going to take it up on October 11th, to make sure that people know that that's going to be on the agenda. So, just wanted your all's feedback.
Will we have a workshop before? Now we're canceling the workshop.
Well,
Chad will be here.
Yeah.
Chad,
Yeah.
Chad's got questions. Like, I think in the meeting the other night, I felt really good and comfortable. Like, we went through that document pretty well. But I think people on board still feel like we have questions before we have a meeting. Maybe we ought to have a special call workshop if people feel they need to talk about it more. I don't, but if anybody else.
Anybody but us still have questions
Yeah,
about the document.
right.
Well, if you feel like, the only night we can do that, it would be, in my mind, would be Wednesday night, the 9th.
And I feel good about I feel good about the document and what we talked about, but instead of having a meeting to come and talk about it and then trying to discuss it at that time, it might be harder.
Right, the meeting would be to read the resolution to approve the agreement,
Right,
not
not the time
discuss.
to discuss it, but we're kind of trying to get the public here, it sounds like maybe to discuss it, and I just want to make sure everybody up here feels comfortable with.
I think what Dwayne's saying is the public's already been invited to several that included that.
Zoning meetings.
The meeting of the night, oh, they've been to a bunch,
Yeah,
right.
so I don't think we need another one
Oh,
No, I'm not, I was talking about just,
for you all.
if you all want to have another meeting to discuss on Wednesday night at 5:30,
I'm for October 11th.
Well, when you do it, you remember the other night, you did tell the public that they could come and.
Oh,
Right.
we always.
Sure.
We always have
Because
public
I'm sure
comment.
there's gonna be some coming because they stood up and wanted to speak the other night, which is fine, I agree, yeah. Absolutely, that's what that microphone
No, we
belongs
will
to.
have public comment before
Sure.
we consider the interlocal.
Judge, question, do you know when the city has a plan on their timeline of when they're going to hear it? So that could give the public an opportunity to.
I think their
on the
goal
city
is to
side.
try to do it in mid-October as well.
Okay.
But I can't speak for them 100%.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So, with that said then, is there any other new business from anyone? Jeff Mudrack.
Yeah, just one quick reminder. October the 11th, we're doing the employee appreciation picnic and service awards program. So just remember to put that on your calendars, 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Hopefully the meeting will be over and we'll be able to all 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock on October the 11th. So it's just right after the meeting on October the 11th. So just want to make sure everybody has that on their calendars. If you all can help out again like you did last year, I think it's a great event. So appreciate you all's participation.
We'll flip burgers.
That's right.
All right. If there's no other new business, then Rick Costa.
Not new business, just an update or a little comment. I talked to Mayor Wagner today. He called me this morning, and he said that the Charter Spectrum had crossed over the railroad tracks. They didn't go bore under, but they have service. They're very close to having service in the Sadieville proper area from Charter Spectrum. It sounds like within days, but they've already strung a line over top the railroad tracks. They're in town somewhere. So
that was in town.
I think that was in town the way he explained it to me.
The issue that's still,
there's several
from my
other
understanding,
crossings.
that one of the others that they're still scheduling the work for is double covered, where the tunnel is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the issues.
Were they going to bore under, or do you know?
I don't know the answer. I thought it was an aerial.
Well, this one was an aerial.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
But this is the same site that I tried to get. I asked Kentucky American for consideration of going through the water line.
Right.
And that was, they didn't feel like that was an option for them.
So how many total crossings?
There were 7 different permits that involved the railroad.
And so it sounds
But there's only one left that needs to be scheduled to work.
But it sounds like this is the first one to get completed.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think they've had others.
Of course, he's obviously focused on and only knows about because they've contacted him there in town. So, okay. Anyhow, I just want to get that update.
Yeah.
And
They were on Craig Lane today.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so.
No, they had told me that they had scheduled, they had contractors scheduled to do that work on Craig Lane.
Yeah, which is good.
So, with that said, then, any other new business? Would there be a motion to adjourn? So moved by Mr. Jones. Second by Mr. Wallace. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.